Good evening and welcome to News Channel 8. I'm Jerome Aegean, and here's some of the top stories we have for you tonight. Hurricane Paula forms in the Western Caribbean, a crime wrap-up with Wes Small, and a local netball team represents in Florida. These stories and more are up next on News Channel 8. In our top story tonight, remember we still have one more month of hurricane season remaining. Do not let your guard down too early this hurricane season. Remember, Hurricane Lenny came our way on November 13th of 1999. Now we're looking at Hurricane Paula, which is not a threat to us here in the Virgin Islands or in Puerto Rico. It's in the Western Caribbean, moving in a northwest path up through Merida and Cozumel and the Cayman Islands, and going to be touching west in Cuba. It's going to be moving just about 10 miles per hour, carrying with it about 85 miles per hour of winds. Its current location is 19.9 north, 86.4 west. Now, we may feel some bands of this later on in the week, but that's the most we're going to get from Hurricane Paula. Hurricane Paula is predicted to gear up to a Category 2 as it moves on a northwest path, and we'll of course check in again with the weather forecast before we close this evening. And in other news, St. Croix is still reeling from the weekend of violence that left 2 people killed in separate incidents. News Channel 8's Wes Small has more.
Thanks a lot, Jerome. Before we get started, I want to tell you about the hit and runs that we've been inundated with in this community. I want to remind you about Patches. Patches was hit and run at 5 Corners. They just buried him about a week ago. I believe Lloyd Daly did the eulogy. A very sad funeral, especially since we have not caught the perpetrators in that hit and run. Folks, our community is so small that this should not happen. Almost every week we're having hit and runs coming in without solvability. That means you're not coming to the plate to the VIPD. If you see something, say something. Then I thought it was a 16-year-old girl. That's what the media had. But I talked to the mother this morning. She had 2 teenage sons that was run over by Anna's Hope. Remember that over the weekend? And police are looking for a white Ford pickup truck, a F-150, I believe it's called, the 150. The son saw that as he was being run over. No one stopped in that. I thought it was maybe 3 because our Channel 8 crew stumbled across either a Caucasian or a light-skinned Hispanic man who looked like he had been run over in Catherine's Rest area over the weekend. But fortunately, we found out that it was bad weather, bad lighting, and the lady that had hit him had stopped. And so that was good. I think Officer Gums ran across that. So that's good news that someone at least had the decency to stop and see if that person was all right. And good news, that person is going to be okay. Now, we were going to have a police press briefing here a little while ago with Police Chief Benta, just to keep various parts of the media up to date, because the last 72 hours have been horrendous. But Chief Benta had to get called away, so we'll probably have that for you tomorrow. So I'm in strides with Melody on this one. But I have to tell you that Police Chief Benta will probably be talking about the fact that police had to shoot and kill and also wound another in that Estate Hope situation where the police stopped the vehicle that had been carjacked earlier in the week. You're looking at the footage that we took of the bullet casings, and you could see there that Jamal Lopez, 24 years old, he and his accomplice, they were involved in that shootout with the VIPD. And subsequently, Jamal Lopez lost his life. His accomplice, 22-year-old Marlon Williams, was wounded and then charged with unauthorized possession of a firearm, and they could face other charges. A police officer was shot point blank in the barrage of bullets, but he seems to be okay. That happened Sunday morning. Deputy Police Chief Hal, he has seen that police officer and says that he's doing okay. Police Chief Benta's probably seen him as well. They found 2 9mm in that car, with also extra magazines. A red Honda CRV was carjacked earlier in the week from Great Pond, like Chief Benta mentioned. And 5 officers are now under investigation for the shooting death of Jamal Lopez. Now, that is natural, as those officers will have to be investigated when they fire their weapons. Lopez becomes the 57th homicide victim, including 3 vehicular homicides. And this, I want to remind you, is all according to the Daily News. This is the 3rd time that a police officer from the Virgin Islands has had to shoot and kill a suspect, by the way. A couple of things from yesterday. I was pretty much right on target in Estate Grove when we were talking about the shooting death of Duchesne Watts. I find out upon further notice that it happened closer to Eulalie Rivera School, so that I was pretty good when I was pointing in that direction. Also, though, I have to do a retraction from yesterday. I said that when they had got those guys, Lopez and the other guy by Estate Hope, that they could be tied in to the murder of Bassa. And by the way, that's Kenneth Peters, who was killed in Frederiksted by the hardware store. You're looking at some forensic footage right now that they are still investigating that killing. You can see the officer there as he is marking out inch by inch how far Kenneth Peters staggered after he was shot. He staggered almost 50 yards, and then he fatally fell down. You could see the officer there marking that out. So forensics is still busy working on that. Now, police believe, though, that the Lopez shooting at Estate Hope, those guys could be tied into Christiansted robberies and the killing of Duchesne Watts in Estate Grove, not Bassa. So now we bring it home closer. But that's why we need to have these police briefings and these press conferences. Too bad Chief Benta had to be called away, but we realized it was for a good reason probably. So by tomorrow we could probably bring this all home. With that, I know that's a lot for you to ingest tonight, but we really want you to be safe. I want to remind you about the carjackings and the truckjackings, folks, especially you students that go to school late at night and you nurses and doctors that work weird hours at night as well, okay? Keep your eyes open and your head up, all right? At Rainbow Command, I'm Wes Small for News Channel 8.
Thanks, Wes. And just a reminder before we go to a break, there's been a lot of rain in our territory for the last week, and that is a breeding ground for dengue. And we do have a dengue fever epidemic sweeping the Caribbean right now, and that's why we at Channel 8 want to applaud Julia Sheen and all the people from the Commission of the Department of Health for bringing us the do's and the don'ts of dengue fever. We'll be right back.